Right, so here is the video that I've promised you. So if we look at the first question, the base numbers are all the same, but each one of those base numbers has an exponent of 1. What must happen if I multiply the same base? I add the exponents, and that's how I get to 3 to the power of 6. Now, my base number is a bracket, and each bracket contains the same thing. So the base number is the bracket with a -7. And how many of them are there? There are 3. So the next question, I have a lot of A's that are multiplied with each other. They are all the same base number. So what happens if I multiply all of them? I add 1, 1, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. Once again, 50 times 50 times 50 times 50 times 50. It's a lot of 50s to multiply, but it's easier to write down. It's 50 to the power of 3. Now I have 2 separate base numbers. In my next question, I've got B's and I've got C's. So B's will have a value, C's will have a value. There's 1, 2, 3 B's, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 C's in there. The next one, I have X's, I've got Y's, I've got Z's, and I have a W. There's 2 X's, there's 4 Y's, there's 3 Z's, and the W is by itself. Right. Okay. If I look at the next question, there we go. I have 7 minus 3, which is 4. 4 must be cubed, so that's 64. And 64 plus 1 is equal to 65. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. And 2 cubed is 8. So my total is 35. C, I have a negative and a 4 that must be erased to the power 3. So minus 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 stays a minus. 64 plus 4 times minus 4 is plus 16, which means I have minus 64. A minus and a minus is a plus. So my answer is going to be negative 48. Okay, divide by means minus, so 4 minus 2 is 5 squared, which means my answer is 25. Then I have 2 times 3, that's 6. I have 9 times 3, which is 3. 6 squared is 36. 3 cubed is 27. That means my answer is 63. Minus 2 squared is plus 4 times minus 3 plus 4 squared is 16. That's going to give me minus 12. Minus 12, 16, plus 16 is 4. Right, question 3. As I said in the online lesson, this is purely to test whether you know your laws. So if I multiply the same base, I add the exponent. If I divide the same base, I subtract the exponent. If an exponent is raised to an exponent, I must multiply 2 different bases. So m times p for x, and y will be n times p. Anything to the power of 1 is the same thing, and anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Great. So when I times the same base, I add the exponents. When I divide by the same base, I subtract. And 5 minus 4 is 1. If I have a cubed over b and c squared times by a and c both has its own exponents, so it's a squared c squared over b cubed. Keep the top as the top, so there's 3 plus 2, that's 5. B is by itself and c is squared. B cubed and c squared is at the bottom. Now I can see a to the 5 is at the top. There is 1b at the top and 3 at the bottom. That means there's 2 more at the bottom, and c squared will cancel each other out. The next question, a squared bc over c cubed d. Divide by, change the times by, that means that will move up and that will move down. So a squared b squared is at the bottom, and cd will be raised to the power of 2, so c squared d squared. Keep the top as the top, so a squared is by itself, b is there, c 1 plus 2 is 3, and d is squared. At the bottom, a squared, b squared, c cubed, d. So a squared and a squared cancels each other out. If I look at the b's, there's 1 more b at the bottom. C's will cancel. D, there is 1 more at the top. If I look at D, EF to the power of 4, anything to the power of 0 is 1 times by g to the 0 is equal to 1. So at the top I've got h squared e cubed f. So keep the top as the top and the bottom as the bottom. I now see, comparing the e's, there's 2 more e's at the bottom. Comparing the f's, there's 3 more at the top and 2 h's at the top as well. When I look at question E, the numerator is raised to the power of 1. That's just trying to confuse me. So I can take it away because it remains the same. Times by means that z squared will go, z to the power of 6 will go to the top, and x to the 5 and y to the 5 will go to the bottom. Keeping the top as the top, there's 3 plus 3, there's 6 x's. There's 2 plus 4, that's 6 y's. And there's 3 plus 6, that's 9 z's. At the bottom, I have 4 plus 5, that's 9 x's. 5 plus 1 is 6 y's and z squared. So, comparing the top and the bottom, there's 3 more x's at the bottom. X to the 6 cancels, and there is 7 more z's at the top. Right. The entire package to the power of 0, which means it is equal to 1. So we spoke about this as well. How many terms are there? So if I go and highlight my signs, that means there's 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. What is the coefficient of y cubed? What is in front of y cubed? That's minus 7x. What is the constant term? That includes the negative as well. The degree, what is the highest value of exponents? That's 3. And now with the substitution, I have 6, a bracket that is squared, a y. 7x y cubed plus 8x y minus 9. So for all the x's, I will fill in a 3. For all the y's, I will fill in a -3. That means I have 6 times 9 times -3 minus 7 times 3 times -27 plus 8 times 3 times -3 minus 9. That means I have 6 times -27 minus 7 times by -81. Then I have 8 times -9 and -9. And that works out as 162 plus 567 minus 72 minus 9. And that's the answer of 324. Right, number B, if I highlight my signs, if I highlighted 4 signs, that means there's 5 terms. The coefficient of M, so I'm looking at this. I can rearrange it, so it's 11n. The constant term is 12. The highest exponent number is 3. So I have 11, a m, a n, a 12, a m squared, a n squared, minus 15, a m cubed, plus 3n cubed, plus 12. So m is 2, and n is -1. So I have minus 22. That's going to give me 12 times 4 times 1. That's minus 15 times by 8. That's plus 3 times by minus 1 plus 12. So minus 22 plus 48 minus 15 times by 8 is minus 120 minus 3 plus 12. So if I do my calculation, I get my answer is -85. If I look at the next one, question number C, if I highlight my signs, so 2 signs means there's 3 terms. A squared, so I'm looking at that term, which means I can rewrite it. So it's minus 16. B, there is no constant term, so that's 0. And the highest degree is 3. So I have 11, a value of a value of b cubed, minus 16, a squared, b plus 4a cubed times b. So a is minus 2 and b is 2. So I have minus 22 times by 8. I have minus 32 times by 4. And I have 8 times by 8. So 22 times by 8 gives me a minus 176. 32 times by 4, so it's minus 128, and that is 64. So minus 176 minus 128 plus 64 gives me minus 240. If I look at question 6, simplify, meaning like terms. So if I go and highlight everything that looks the same, I see that I have 8x minus 4. B, I first need to do some work. So distribute. So I have 3x plus 21. I have minus 2x plus 8 plus 5x. So if I go and highlight all my x values, they belong together, and if I highlight all my numbers, I get 3x minus 2x is 1x, and 1x plus 5x is 6x plus 29. Number 7a, I need to do some work. I need to distribute. So I have 12x plus 28x minus 16, oh goodness, that's x squared, minus 16x squared plus 32x. So once again, if I highlight my like terms, I can see that I'm ending up with minus 4x squared plus 60x. Right, number 7b, I have to distribute. So I have 3y cubed minus 8xy squared plus 4x squared y. Plus 3 needs to distribute, so plus 6xy minus 12x squared y. If I look at those, I notice that I have two terms that I like. So plus 4 minus 12 is minus 8 plus 6xy. Great. Okay, once again, distribution, I get 30x minus 72. Distribute again, I get minus 18x cubed plus 27x squared minus 63x. So when I look at those two, what do I have that is the same? Minus 33x minus 72 minus 18x cubed plus 27x squared. D, if I distribute, I get 4y to the power 4 minus 8y squared. Distribute minus 4y to the power 4 minus 24y squared. So if I highlight, exactly the same thing, I get 4y to the power 4 minus 4y to the power 4 is 0, and that's minus 32y squared. Right, distribution again, 8xy plus 3y squared minus 4y, distribute again, minus 3x minus 7y squared. Do I have like terms? Yes, I do. So I have 8xy minus 4y squared minus 4y minus 3x. Right. Next one, distribute. So I have 12x will be to the power 3 y squared minus 28x to the power 4 y plus 32x squared y cubed. Then I will distribute again, minus 36x squared y cubed plus 24xy squared. I have to check, do I have the same terms? Yes, I do. Those two are similar. So 12x cubed y squared minus 28x to the power y, 4y. Then I have minus 4x squared y cubed, and then I have 24xy squared. Right, if I look at number G, distribution again. So I have 33x squared yz plus 44xy squared z minus 11 times 12 is 132 xyz squared plus 3x squared yz. I have two terms that are the same. 36x squared yz, and then the 44xy squared z minus 132xyz squared just tags along. Right, number H, distribution. So I have 56x cubed y cubed minus 24x squared y cubed. Then I have 12x cubed y cubed minus 21xy cubed. I have like terms in those two, which means it is 68x cubed y cubed, and the minus 24x squared y cubed minus 21xy cubed just goes with. Okay, now the two questions we did not do during the online session because of the fraction and the fact that my board is not very big. Working with fractions, please do not get flustered. So it works exactly the same thing, same way. So distribute a half times 8. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. X times x is x squared, y times y is y squared. A half times 12 is 6. X times x cubed is x to the power of 4. A half times 14 is minus 7. X, y cubed. Then I am going to distribute that. That's 21x squared y squared plus 3 times 11 is 33x cubed y. Like terms. Do I have any? No. So 4 minus 21 is going to give me negative 17x squared y squared plus 6x to the power 4y minus 7x to the power 3 plus 33x to the power of 3y. Okay, that wasn't that bad. The next one is the one that is very, very challenging. And I'm going to write it out step by step. So instead of trying to do this in my head, I'm going to say 6xy times by a third x is the same as saying 6xy divided by 3x plus 12x squared y divided by. So this is what I've done. I've said a third 1 over 3x times by 6xy, but 6xy is over 1. So the top times the top, the bottom times the bottom. So 1 over 3x times 12x squared y, which is over 1. The top times the top, the bottom times the bottom. I'm going to do the same on this side. So I'm going to get a minus times a plus is a minus. And 1 over 4y times 16y squared x over 1 is as good as saying 16y squared x over 4y. A plus times a minus is a minus, and 1 over 4y times 24x squared y squared over 1, top times top, bottom times bottom, is the same as saying 24x squared y squared over 4y. Right, so I have 4 fractions to solve. 6 divided by 3 is 2. X cancels x, y remains. Plus 12 divided by 3 is 4. There is an x extra at the top with a y. Minus 16 divided by 4 is 4. There is 2 y's at the top, 1 at the bottom, so there's 1 y at the top with an x. Then a minus 24 divided by 4 is 6. The x squared stays. If I compare the y's, there is 1 y at the top. Now looking at that, I hope that you've spotted and you would tell me that 4xy and 4yx is exactly the same term. Okay, which means they cancel each other out, and my final answer is 2y minus 6x squared. y. Right, exponents and surds. So 16. X to the power of 1 will change to x to the power of 2. Y to the power of 2 will change to y to the power of 4. 27, well, minus 27 is minus 3. Divide the exponent by 3, it's x to the power of 2. So my answer is 16x squared y to the power of 4. A plus and a minus is a minus 3x squared. If I look at B, only one square root, so I need a final answer that are like terms. So 25x squared y to the power of 4 means I have 5. Divide each exponent by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, 4 divided by 2 is 2. Number C, I have a cube root and I have a cube inside. So to get rid of the cube root, I can have 5x squared y z cubed, and 3 divided by 3 is 1, which means my answer is whatever is inside the bracket. Okay, number D. I have 8 times 8. Square root, I divide the exponents by 2, so a is 3 and b is 6. Cube root, that's 4. Cube root, I divide exponents by 3, so a is 2 and b is 4. That is my final answer. There are no like terms. Okay, more on substitution. So instead of having an A, I'll have a bracket, B, I'll have a bracket, C, I'll have a bracket, -4, 1 and 2/3. So minus 12 times 2/3 plus 1. So minus 12 times 2 is minus 24. Minus 24 divided by 3 is minus, how much? 8. And minus 8 plus 1 is minus 7. So I'll have 4 times a value for a squared, 7 times the value of b, 6 times the value of c, and 9 times the value of a, b, and the value of c must be squared. So I'll have 4 times 16 plus 7 Minus 6 times 2 is minus 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. 9 times minus 4 is negative 32.